Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me today on my fourth video. The response has been great. I really appreciate it. I ask that you guys keep sharing these videos because the reason I'm doing them is to try to help others. So thank you so much. And tonight I want to talk about mental health, and then I also want to talk about memories. First of all, I guess memories is a good place to start because when you go through such abuse or trauma, there are going to be repressed memories. I was just reminded of a memory today. My daughter called me and she reminded me of a sorry, of a memory of when my ex pushed me into what we think was his Kiss altar because he worshipped the band Kiss during that time and made a big fancy altar. And my ex and I were going at it hard, and he pushed me so hard that some of the contents of the altar fell down on top of me. And I didn't remember that. That was, I guess, a repressed memory. Once she started talking about it, bits and pieces are starting to come up. Um, but she brought that up because I was thinking that my youngest son was the one that had seen most of the abuse, that there wasn't much abuse when my two older ones were younger. My daughter reminded me that no, it has gone back very, very far. And she brought up that memory that is the one that came up to in her mind, and she was young when that happened. Um, and now, since I got off the phone with her, a couple of other things have been coming up. And like the time that he and I got into it so bad, our kids were at school at that point, the two older ones, the youngest one hadn't been born yet. And he hit me in my head so hard that he pushed my ear over the arm of my glasses and sliced my ear open. And I don't remember what we were fighting about, but I remember that now because it was in the same house as the memory she had remembered. And these memories are going to start coming up. And they're very hard memories to deal with, especially when you had not remembered them at all. They were either suppressed or you had forgotten about them. And then when they come up, they're son of a gun to deal with. But the last thing you need to do is push them aside, swallow them down, and not deal with them. Deal with them slowly if you have to deal with them. I mean, you have to deal with them. Deal with it slowly if that's how you have to do it. But you got to deal with it. And I'm dealing with that right now. All week, I've been in a funk. Doesn't help that last week I worked 10 hours overtime. This week I worked 5 hours overtime. So I'm exhausted. But I've been in a funk. And this morning I had a chiropractor's appointment. that I didn't want to go to. Not because he's bad, because he's actually good. It helps my back. I've got scoliosis. It's I didn't want to get out of the house. And yeah, there are times when you got to take care of yourself and say, you know what, I'm just going to stay home today. But you got to know that line to know that there are times when you got to say, no, I got to get my happy butt out. Especially right now with COVID, none of us are going anywhere, really. I mean, let's face it. If you're like me, you get to work from home, which I'm grateful for because at least I have a job. But in working from home, I'm home all week. I don't go anywhere but church or maybe to run an errand or two. So being stuck home all week, the last thing I need on a Saturday morning is to be stuck inside with the covers over my head because I didn't want to get out of bed. And I pushed, fighting and kicking and screaming to get myself out of the house, get myself up, dressed, put on a little makeup, because for me, makeup kind of cheers me up. I don't put on a lot, as you can see, but just that little bit kind of perked me up, and I was able to get out of the house, go to my appointment, and then that's when I started feeling better. I went to a boutique that I've been dying to check out because I'd heard about them on Facebook, and I've been wanting to check them out. So I went and checked them out. Didn't know if I was going to buy anything. Ended up buying a few things. But I just to get out the house. And so I wasn't in that funk anymore. And sure enough, I came back home. I was feeling better. I helped my oldest get on the internet. He had to do a few things on the internet. And then I brought him home, and then I went somewhere else. I went for a drive. I drove around my favorite park up here, and that's what I needed. Had I not gotten out this morning, I would not have done all what I did today. And I didn't do a whole lot, but it got me out of the house. And in getting me out of the house, and then when my daughter called me and reminded me of something that I had totally forgotten, and then that triggered another memory, it helped me deal with it because I got outside. I wasn't already stuck in my feelings. Because trust me, when I get stuck in all my feels, it's hard to shake it. And that's when, that's what I want to talk about, is when these memories start coming up, things that were either suppressed or you had forgotten about. Deal with them. Deal with it slowly, but deal with it. Because it's scary. Because in going through all of the memories that I've been going through, and working my way through them, it's not easy. And it's scary because you feel like you're going to have to relive it all over again. But try to remember you're safe now. Even in dealing with these memories, you are safe. And another thing I kind of wanted to talk about is the fact that I endured all of this abuse for 30 years. You know, I was thinking it was for 25, but evidently it was for 30. Or maybe, yeah, about 30. Because in thinking about it, my oldest was, well, a shade under 30. Because my oldest, if I remember correctly, was like 4 years old the first time that my ex hit me. No, he was 5, and my daughter was about 1. I'm remembering that now. And it's never too late to leave. The best thing you could do for yourself is leave. Don't say, well, I've stayed this long, I might as well stay. No. Because things aren't going to get better. They're only going to get worse. The biggest regret that I have is not leaving sooner. I said this in a previous video that I should have left at least 13 years ago. Quite honestly, I should have left at least, 13 years ago, but optimally, I probably should have left at least 17, 18 years ago. Because that's when things started really getting bad, and thinking about it, I mean, they just started getting worse and worse. Not that they weren't bad before. Evidently worse than I was thinking. But I guess a way of coping is I put it out of my mind. Because my daughter and I were kind of joking around. Oh, you're bleeding half to death. There's a puddle of blood on the floor. Oh, put a Band-Aid on it and you'll be good. And I guess that's how I've been. Excuse me. I've learned to ignore pain. I have a very high tolerance for physical pain. And I guess that spills over into emotional pain as well. That I have such a high tolerance that I ignore it. And that's not a good place to be. Because the last thing you need to do is ignore the pain you're going through. Feeling the pain that you're being caused by an abuser will further motivate you to leave. What motivated me to finally leave my ex was the fact that I knew it wasn't going to get any better. I knew that aside from all the pain that I was going through, it was causing my kids pain. My youngest, because he was hearing all the crud that was being told to me, and that was killing him because he wanted to say something and didn't, because he didn't want to ultimately come back on me. And all of the abuse that my kids endured, my 2 older ones endured, and that they witnessed their mother going through. And then now I couldn't even talk to them openly because of him. And I knew that it was not going to get any better. I knew that it was just going to stay the same. No, it was going to get worse. To where I wouldn't even be able to text him secretly because he'd be monitoring my phone or wouldn't let me have a phone. Because he was getting to that point. I knew that if I wanted to have any kind of relationship with my children, that I had to leave. And that is the biggest motivation that I had. And to be honest, had it been just abuse to me, had it not affected my kids at all in any way, or if I didn't have kids, I can't say that I would not have stayed. And that's a big mistake, because even if you're being abused and you don't have children, your family or your friends are watching you being abused. And that hurts them. It killed my sister. My sister wanted to practically wring my neck so many times, not literally, because she saw, not firsthand, but she could see the effects of the abuse. And it was so frustrating to her, because she told me one time, I thought she was mad at me, and I messaged her and said, look, I'm losing family and friends left and right. Please don't let me lose you. And she said, no, baby, you're not going to lose me. But I just wish you saw what I saw. I see in you that you are way stronger than you think you are. And that helped motivate me, helped me get the courage, because a month later is when I had the courage to call the cops on my ex and remove him from my home permanently. If you're watching this because you have a family member or a friend who is being abused and you're at your wit's end, not knowing how to get that person to leave, you can't make that person leave. But the best thing you could do is be there for that person and be their strength. Let them know that even though they don't think they have the strength, let them know that they can borrow yours, that you've got their back. Because abusers isolate their victims and they make them think that they have no one. Like, people are coming out of the woodwork right now with me, telling me, oh, I'm so glad you did this, I'm right here for you if you need. People genuinely meaning, if I want to talk, they're there, that I didn't know that I would have, because I honestly believed that deep down that somehow was my fault. And I still deal with that thought. That thought reared its ugly head the other day. When was it? Yesterday, I believe it was. Or a day before, rather. I had that ugly thought poke its ugly head and think, what could I have done differently? What more could I have done to save the marriage? No. My friend, a coworker, I was talking to her about it, and she goes, oh, honey, no. It's going to take time for you to heal. But from what you've told me, no, you did everything and then some. And then I got that doubt in my mind, well, did I exaggerate anything? And that's going to come up. You're going to start, because of all the abuse, you're going to second guess yourself. Even after, I'm 10 months out. I've been divorced for going on 3 months, but I've been 10 months away from him with no contact at all. And those thoughts still pop up out of nowhere. I mean, it came out of nowhere. I don't even know where the thought came from or what triggered it, but you're gonna second guess yourself. You don't go through years of abuse and to where all your decisions you're told aren't good ones, or your ideas or opinions are sloughed off. You're not going to heal overnight and think and trust every decision you make. I'm still learning through lots of therapy, and I highly recommend therapy if you can't afford it. There are programs out there that help you get the mental help you need at free or reduced cost. You just gotta look. And with therapy, I'm learning, but it's a process because I second guess myself still. Even the simplest of decisions, I still think about it. Is that really right? Should I be doing? And it's like, no, I'm going to do it. And I got to make myself do it, whatever the decision is. Because I'm still learning to trust myself and to trust my gut feeling. There have been times that I didn't even trust my gut feeling. When your gut is right there. But your gut more often than not is right. But when you go through all of this abuse, you don't necessarily trust it. And so give yourself time to heal. Give yourself time to get through this. And more importantly, start trusting yourself. Because you are strong. If you're watching this and you're going through abuse, know something that I did not know until people started telling me. You are strong and you can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this. I was abused for at least 30 years. I'm thinking now. And yet I got out. It is never too late because it's not going to get any better. I knew that when the day that I called the police, that was the thing that got me determined that I was going to get out of it and that I was going to call the police. It's like, it's not going to get better. I'm never going to have a relationship with my kids. I'm never going to have a relationship with a decent relationship with my mother or my sister. My mother is 77 years old. She's strong as an ox, but obviously at 77 she has way more years behind her than she does ahead of her. And then I live with the regret that I didn't spend more time with her. Or my sister. My sister's younger than me. But how much would I regret all those years lost? I regret so much. Don't let the regret stop you, though. Because I thought that with all of this regret, there's no use, there's no changing. Yeah, there is change. The moment you make the decision to leave that relationship, whether it's by calling the police or just packing up and going, that's a change. and that is a positive change. And it can be done. But thank you guys for listening and watching this video. Share away, and like and subscribe. Thank you so much. And you guys have a good week.